The mountain road twisted through the cliffs, carrying the car into the darkness. Only the headlights cut through the thick night, leaving brief flashes of light on the wet asphalt. The taxi driver gripped the steering wheel tighter and cast a quick glance at his passenger. The man sat beside him in the front seat, staring ahead intently. No streetlights, no oncoming cars, just the two of them and the endless night. "You know," the passenger finally spoke. His voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't spoken out loud in a long time. "When I was 16, I really wanted to give my mom a gift. She raised me alone, worked 2 jobs just so I could eat well, wear decent clothes. She always supported me, even when I didn't deserve it. I thought that if I got her an expensive phone for her 40th birthday, it would be my way of paying her back. She did so much for me, and I wanted to do at least something for her." The taxi driver nodded but said nothing. His hands tensed slightly on the wheel. He didn't like these kinds of conversations, especially on an empty road, especially with strangers. We were teenagers back then, my friends and I. 16, 17, stupid, overconfident. We thought the world was open before us, that we could do anything. We didn't have money, but we wanted a good life, nice clothes, expensive phones, attention. Then one of us heard about a house in a nearby neighborhood, owners gone on vacation. We debated for a long time, argued, hesitated, and then we decided, why not? After all, it was just a house. We weren't hurting anyone, just taking what wasn't being watched. We thought it would be that easy to change our lives. The passenger smirked, shaking his head. But it never works out that way, does it? The taxi driver swallowed, glancing at the man from the corner of his eye. He was sitting relaxed, unbuckled, as if lounging on a couch at home. His fingers drummed lazily on the armrest, his gaze drifting outside. He seemed to be simply enjoying the ride, but something in his posture, the slight tension in his shoulders, betrayed something else. The driver didn't like this feeling, like he was trapped, locked in a car, with something that could explode at any moment. "We got caught," the passenger continued, his voice quieter now, tinged with bitterness. "One of us ratted us out, the weakest one. As soon as the cops closed in, he ran straight to them, spilled everything, threw all the blame on us like he had nothing to do with it. He got off easy, probation. The rest of us, prison, 5 years. 5 years, you understand?" His voice hardened with anger, and his fists clenched. "I was 17, just a kid. I hadn't seen anything in life, and when I got out, I was a grown man. But life had already moved on without me. No job, no future, just a label I could never erase. Everywhere I went, the same look. Oh, another ex-con, another write-off." He exhaled sharply, shaking his head. "You know what the worst part is?" He suddenly looked at the taxi driver, and the driver's stomach twisted. "In 7 years, I got used to prison, but I never got used to freedom." The taxi driver felt a cold knot tighten in his chest. Why was this man telling him all this? Just to get it off his chest? Or was there something more? "And your mother?" the driver asked quietly, just to fill the silence. "She died while I was inside," the passenger said flatly. "Didn't wait for me. And the one who ratted us out? He's living a good life, driving a car, a taxi, for example." The driver's heart stopped. Cold sweat formed on his forehead, trickling down his temples in a sticky film. His fingers tightened around the wheel until his knuckles turned white. His throat went dry, and he forced himself to swallow. Slowly, he looked into the rearview mirror. Darkness, thick, suffocating, impenetrable. No cars, no headlights in the distance, no witnesses if... The thought struck like lightning, sharp and blinding, but it made his hands tremble. God, what was he thinking? This was just a passenger. Yes, his story was chilling, but he hadn't done anything. Yet. Then why did every instinct scream danger? Why did time feel like it was slowing down, the air in the car becoming heavy, suffocating? He glanced at the passenger again. The man hadn't moved, still relaxed. But now that relaxation felt menacing, like a predator that knows its prey has nowhere to run. The driver forced himself to look away, but the thought was already there, deep in his mind. If something goes wrong. He remembered the day they called him into the police station, remembered sitting before the detective, hands clenched together so tightly, his fingers ached. The room felt stifling. His eyes darted over the walls, the desk, the indifferent face of the officer waiting for an answer. He had said their names. He had been scared. Panic had crushed his chest, forcing the words from his lips before he could think. He hadn't wanted to go to prison. He hadn't known it would turn out like this. He thought they'd all get a slap on the wrist, probation at worst, then go home. He imagined himself returning to his mother, telling her it was all over, that he'd never do it again. But now, sitting beside him, was a man whose life he had taken away. A man who had come out of prison different, his eyes dim, a weight on his shoulders. A man who had spent years carrying hatred. And now, they were alone, in a car, on a dark, empty road. Fear slithered through him, cold and thick, seeping into every thought. Is he here to kill me? The words pounded in his skull like a drumbeat. Why else would he get into my car, in the middle of nowhere, on this deserted road? The driver glanced at his seatbelt, buckled. The passenger was not. One sharp turn, and it could all be blamed on an accident. But what if he was wrong? The car approached another sharp bend. The road curved steeply left, with a deep ravine beyond, shrouded in swirling mist. In the dim headlights, the serpentine path looked fragile, uncertain, as if drawn by an unsteady hand. Sweat slicked the driver's palms, but he held the wheel tight. His heart pounded in rhythm with the engine. This was his chance. One more second. And then, decision made, he yanked the wheel toward the guardrail. The tires screeched. Metal groaned as the car slammed into the barrier. For a moment, it teetered on the edge. But in the same instant, the passenger grabbed the wheel, inhumanly strong. The car skidded across the wet asphalt. The driver fought to regain control, but the man was already lunging over him, wrenching the wheel from his grasp. Their eyes met in one terrifying moment. The passenger's gaze held no fear, just understanding. "You think I didn't know?" he whispered. The car spun sideways. The guardrail flashed past. The abyss loomed ahead. The impact came all at once. They were airborne. Metal shrieked, screams, pain. The world tumbling in a blur of headlights and darkness. Then silence. The car dangled precariously on the cliff's edge, the front half already over the void. The driver gasped, pain flaring through every limb. But he was alive. He could still get out. But so could the passenger. Somewhere close, metal groaned. Then, a voice, software amused. "Well, my friend, now you know how it feels." The driver turned his head. The passenger was pulling himself free, face bloodied but still smiling. He reached toward him, and the car shifted. They both froze. But it was too late. The ground gave way. The metal screamed. And in the last instant, as the car plummeted into the abyss, the passenger laughed.